Is amazing. And we're just waiting for my friend Vikas to join in so we can get started. I think, he's this amazing guy. If you all know him in whatever capacity, you must know that this guy is a force. He has been a force from the very first day I met him. And it's just amazing how he just goes ahead and does what he believes in, what he thinks is the right thing to do. And it's just been a joy to see his journey. I have nothing to say except that, if we can learn one thing from Vikas is that you put your heart to it and you put your mind to it and you can literally do anything. So I'm really, really excited.
You tell me. Good?
Yes, this is excellent. Oh, so good to see you.
She is the first person who actually heard the story of Last Color at Cannes.
I am
We were in
waiting
for dinner, and for 2 hours I'm narrating her the story, and she's like, "No one can make this movie. You have to make it yourself."
I know. I still didn't believe it. I still didn't know what had overcome you. I remember that first moment in Cannes when you were describing the passion with which you were like, sure, you were going to do this. And I met so many amazing filmmakers in their lives who have that passion, but just fall short of some kind of a commitment to that passion, that it doesn't happen or doesn't happen the way they want it. And there you are sitting, and we have this movie live, winning awards live on Amazon Prime, and it's done. And how gorgeous. So I honestly want to go back to that Cannes night at 2 a.m. when you finished telling me this whole story and I was crying. In my heart, I'll be honest, today, there was a pit of me crying, thinking, how is he going to do this? How do I tell him? This is very hard. And he has so much hope and joy, but how do I tell him this is going to be so difficult? Now, was it so difficult?
It was more difficult than you can imagine. It was very hard because of too many issues. What you were saying, you gave me hints. You gave me hints. Who's gonna support it? Like, how you're gonna. Most importantly, who is going to fund it? Who's gonna?
Yeah.
The passion project. I have to fund it myself. But I don't know if people know that it was holy, and I said, it's emotional because we are far, we are totally distant, especially with COVID and everything. No celebrations in New York. They canceled all the events.
Yeah.
But also great that I have to speak to you because this journey kind of started with you.
Yeah.
Around 3 o'clock in the morning, we were at that hotel, Majestic Hotel, right?
Yes. Bottom in the restaurant.
The restaurant and packed and buzzing, but I wouldn't stop. I said, I have to tell you the entire story, and this is what we're doing. And I want to get Nina Gupta. I want to do this. And I wanted you to play the character of the journalist. I said, Pooja, you can kill it, And,
yeah.
and for everybody's reference, I've known Pooja for more than almost 15, 20 years from when she was running film festivals in New York. I said, she's an insider to this, and maybe we can figure something out, and maybe some miracle will happen that the story will come to life.
Yeah.
But you were right. One thing on the planning table, that movies require a lot of planning and funding and everything.
Yeah.
But it could require heart.
It requires
heart in the right place, because then so many times you want to give up. I don't want to do this. There's so much of stuff on my plate right now that I can't be dealing with all this.
Yeah.
But you made me.
And I think, for me, sitting at that moment, with you, we were talking about buried seeds. It was your journey. It was an eye opener because even I didn't know the journey that you'd gone through and all the fights that you fought. And I think that day I was quiet and I didn't tell you my whole reservation on the path you wanted to go, because I think watching that gave me this insight into the person that you are. That your commitment, you're like the dabang. एक बार मैंने commitment दे दिया तो मैं खुद की भी नहीं सुनता. It feels like that's what happened with this film. Like, no matter what was going on, you just kept pushing forward, believing that it was meant to be and you're going to be the person who's meant to tell this story. But where did it come from? Like, where and how did that commitment to this story in particular come from?
From a broken heart, I think exactly 11 years ago today, yesterday actually, I was in Vrindavan, and when we were celebrating Holi at Banke Bihari Temple, when I came out, and there were lines of widows on the streets, sidewalks, and on the balconies, terraces. I still remember so clearly. They were almost like invisible to most of the people there,
Yeah.
but there was so much of pain in that moment when I saw them because it took me back home. When
Yeah.
the widows and all my aunts and everybody absolutely colorless and living a life in isolation in so many ways, being considered inauspicious, and they're not allowed to go for weddings, ceremonies, childbirths,
Yeah.
no rituals, no festivals for them, and no pujas. They were never a part of pujas, and it was very, very hard for me to understand why would you do that. Why nobody's questioning it. I think the story came from there. It was like that moment was so strong because I was living here, and I was almost like not physically. You know that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people find it hard to believe that you physically move out of America to out of India, but actually I keep telling people that my love grew multiple folds like you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when you were far, you became a representation of the country. So you're not just one now; you're 1.3 people representation.
Yeah.
Do some things, and I said, we have to this movie, and I knew that you'll be standing when I'm falling the cracks, all the gaps. You'll try to fill it up. You have an and you know how much I love Sugandha. We have people
It's a darling.
who kept filling the gaps for us, and we
Yeah.
kept. It's still a miracle that the movie has done so well.
It is in the top 10 most watched films of 2020 of Amazon Prime. So,
Very, very.
guys, if you haven't seen it, it's right there. It's worldwide. Please go watch The Last Color, and you will be happy with this man who has only filled your heart and your stomachs with some of the best things, but now he's going to fill your mind with the possibilities of anything is possible. And that for me was like, the biggest respect that I could think of for someone like you. Because even in that restaurant, if you remember, you were ordering some desserts and there were chefs coming from the back, who were so nervous that they were getting judged. You were not even like, your mind was flying with something more beautiful. And here there was where you're a master of a craft, and you can easily just you've got respect all over the world with what you've done with your craft in the food area. And yet you come across so humble yet so hungry for the next thing that you set your heart on, right? Yes, no,
I don't.
maybe.
I'm just nervous right now. It's also true that a lot of people, even you said, why you're subjecting yourself to extreme criticism.
Yeah.
You have established yourself in a business which is the toughest in the world, right?
Yeah.
Indian food. New Yorkers still haven't found love for Indian food. You know that.
Yeah.
But to break the code, and I always tell people that for an Indian or person of color winning one Michelin star, please don't discount it. It's equivalent to winning 3 Michelin stars.
Yeah.
Because it's so difficult to knock at the door and the door to open. To win it 6 years consecutively is possibly, people said that this is the miracle for us. But I think it's amazing that at 50, I'm turning 50, that you put all your energy into creating something totally new.
Yeah. I feel like you, more than, being sort of, confined to a space that you master, there is a deeper layer of Vikas that I've got to know in the last few years, which is that you want to question each and every ceiling and boundary that has been put on an individual, whether it's you or whether it's the widows in Varanasi or whether it's anything, whether it's the inability to feed the people in India. Like, do you get driven by that challenge to push back on a constraint that humanity puts on certain people?
I think so. When my mom tells me that, every time somebody will say impossible, there's a mom,
Yeah.
and she will make it possible.
Yeah.
And I think my resilience comes from her, and also from a fact that, you never had a normal childhood. I
Yeah.
never had a childhood. It was so scarred that it actually gave me so much of strength that, you know what, I've got to move forward. You clear even if people don't clear the way, they are 24 hours they're trying to push me down. Even now, it's okay. People say, how do you deal with so many bullies around you all the time? I said, they give me energy
Wow.
that I choose. If I let them suck my energy, that's different.
Yeah.
If I choose to consume energy from the hatred or from the jealousy or from the insecurities, it's amazing. You transfer that energy into something, a new project. And people should know this thing, that generally whenever I write a big novel, Pooja is one of the first person that I narrated to, even for the next project. First,
Don't embarrass me.
one of the first calls, like maybe
Yeah.
it's like 5 people,
Yeah.
because I don't tell anyone when I'm doing a project. So I hide myself and I'm in a shell. And people say, but you're always in front of us all the time. I said, I take my moments when I'm writing work, that it has to be sacred, and for from to God's mouth, that this is. I hope He blesses you for
Yes.
encouraging artists from who just who just find ways to find a platform and a stage. You've always been there for them, Pooja.
I feel very honored, Vikas, to be a part of your life, whether it is, sharing stories or pomegranate tales or anything we have, and I just sometimes feel like, am I in that section, or is everyone you come across feels that way? Because now I've met people who talk about you, who've met you for 3 minutes, and they say, Vikas is my best friend in the world. And I'm like, really? You too? How many of us exist in the world who feel this magnetic connection? Because we derive, I've told you this 100 times. Like, I'm having a bad day and I think, what would Vikas do? If somebody is like putting me down and, not giving me the time of the day or the, respect that I feel like I deserve for a minute. And I'm like, what would Vikas do? He just plow through this and come out on top and be like, didn't even bother me. And we derive that optimism, that motivation, that inspiration from you on a daily basis. I'm not kidding. This is not about, a segment of what you do. This is who you are. And that is why I think for Holi and what you did with this film, it was so important to, have India waking up, who have chimed in, and thank you for joining, because I think this today for the whole world is a great start of a new kind of a world that, we sort of had forgotten, we were scared of, but we're accepting one by one, slowly. So I want to know what your plans are for this new world. Have you been like baking something fun in this last year?
So because I don't waste a single minute, absolutely. But the one thing which people should know, that what I've been hiding and doing it, is that because my lungs are extremely weak
Oh,
because of asthma and
right.
working 20 hours literally. But it's not it's being a chef in New York, especially with the stress, and it's not easy. It's enough, and then I take more stress on myself all the time. So I decided on last year during the COVID, when we knew it by June, that it's going to be a pandemic and we all have to be careful to sustain it and survive it. We all have to do that. And one thing which was done is that most of my friends who had the similar condition, none of them survived.
Oh my
None
God.
of them survived the same condition. And it's not just asthma, it's I have more like collective issues. But I said, this is not going to shake me down. So within a few months, you're going to see an entire short documentary, which I'm not going to talk about so much, but I have entirely transformed my body. Entirely.
So you no longer have the ailment?
Took it up as a challenge. No, the way I worked out, I had a personal trainer, I have a consultant, I had a dietitian. Everything was at my access right here.
Yeah.
But I just had to use it properly. I needed to use it. So and my trainer Alex, he says, you're going to unveil your new body at 50. And also, that Pooja, there's a stigma that a lot of people think that Indian guys, in America, are like, no, we don't, not Indian guys. It's like, you know what, I'm going to turning 50 and I'm going to show you that how I've entirely transformed my entire body to almost 8% fat or 10% fat max.
Because I'm reading comments, you are the, heartthrob of many here on this chat. For 20 years, you're going to give heart attacks. You've got over your asthma and your ailments, and you're going to give a lot of medical conditions to these viewers if you unveil, as you express.
Has to be, Pooja. We have to do that. You know, I feel in America, especially in the country where we fight the big wars, and because you're subjected not from your arts, you have to subject your people have to not judge you because I walk into the room and people think, oh my God, we didn't know, like, the head of the table is a person of color.
Yeah.
I is that, you're sitting at the head and still people will be like, no, 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 let's not have him there. Let's not him head the project. I'm like, guys, I have the infrastructure, drive, passion, commitment, and don't judge me because the way I look, or the way I speak or where I come from.
Yeah.
You have to judge me on the quality of the work I pursue. It could
Yeah.
be from crockery, it could be from restaurants, from books, movies. You can't judge me because how, and that is the biggest war for me. And I'm like, I take on that war head on. I
Yeah.
don't spare anyone on that. I'm like, no,
Every single day.
every single
Yeah.
day, every single day you got to dress up for that role. That's why people say, do you ever get down or stressed? I'm like, yeah, I do. But you can't see it. We
Yeah.
cannot do what see us because that's what many people wait for. You've got to
Right.
play the part in the morning, every single morning. I work on many different time zones also, so I always have to have the same energy, even if I'm pulled down badly by lawsuits or closure of restaurant or failures and everything. And
Come
that's
back and get it.
yeah, it's impossible. It was to me to make the movie
Yeah.
impossible, especially with so much going on. I said, no, we've got to give this wholly a voice. We've got to change people's look on it. Let's get to work when people say it's impossible.
So tell me one thing, because I'm sure that, you've been asked this before, but I want to do this officially. You decided you're making the movie. You decided you're going to do this because you need to do this, not because you wanted to do this. There was a need and you needed to do this. What happened next? How did the casting go about? I mean, Aksa is this fantabulous little child. Of course, Nina Ji is just, a you know, beauty within that reserved poise that she represented. And you directed these people, you found these people, they're these gorgeous drone shots. I want you to tell me, what was this process of putting your tribe together to go out there in the forest and fight the demons?
I think I got lucky with a lot of people who came on board because even when we were unlucky with some people, we kept moving on. I said, you know what? People were like, initially, oh, you know what? You can't make, and it's people who I've hired, they will say, oh, you can't make this movie. I'm like, but why? He's saying, oh, that takes a different art. This is not as easy as just stand in the kitchen and cook. What?
Wow.
And I'm like, these are people who are working for you. And then we got lucky when we had, my co-director Anuj. So every time, because I have this whole thing managing the kitchens also, I don't raise my voice, I don't talk loud. I have certain ethics about working in the kitchen. I said, so we got Anuj on board, and that was a whole team, and that really helped me. And we had amazing producers like Poonam Kaul, Jitendra
Yeah,
Mishra. Everybody was on the table.
of
Everybody
course.
here for more than 10 years. That this movie is going to come to life organically. But for the people who really want to make a movie, I tell them go ahead and make the movie. I used to go to Varanasi again and again. I used to keep, you see the frames. I kept creating the frames again and again. I wanted to give a new look to the city. And after some time, I realized that when I would call the people who did this work for jobs, and they'll say, "Oh, you have to do this ghat, Manikarnika ghat, Assi ghat, and all those things." But I said there has to be something more to it. It's such a
Yeah,
big city, and when you live there, like I live in New York, I don't remember going to Times Square. Otherwise, if it's a big event, only then I go. But it
yeah,
can't be here all the time in Times Square. I'd avoid passing through Times Square.
yeah,
But every time you see, but in when you see these guys' movies, Woody Allen's movies and all, it's about New York always. They
yeah.
never Times Square.
Yeah, they're in Greenwich Village, they're hanging in the streets. That really is the essence.
But we're so used to a Bollywoodization of New York, in which
Yeah,
all the time they're in New Times Square.
yeah,
Because we are making sure that people remember we are in Times Square. That's why I said, you know what, let's follow that rule. And let's not show the traditional stuff if people connect Varanasi
mhm,
to. And we don't
yeah,
have And that's one important thing. You got to find a different aspect of, and Mr. Shyam Benegal said that this might be second best movie shot in Varanasi uh, after Apu's trilogy of
Oh,
Sat.
wow.
And I said,
Wow, that's a huge compliment,
"Yeah,
man.
because you were gone all the way to different locations, and it was irritating to sometimes when I'll tell Nina ji, we have a boat ride of 2 hours for shooting one scene. And she's like, but why? And she's very cooperative. But everybody will be thinking, why do you want to travel 2 hours one way on a boat? I said, you guys, please understand those locations are untouched. And we are touching a place where Ninaji is totally isolated. It can't be millions of people around us.
Yeah. So I just saw a question. They were asking that while you were shooting, did people around ask you what the story was, or was there any resistance?
Oh, lot. Everybody who asked me, what are you shooting for? I said, cooking show.
Only you could have got away with that.
भाई तो देखना से क्या मजेदार बनारस की सारी स्पेशलिटीज बनाएंगे हम तो फिर ये कौन है सब लोग एंड you also have to remember that Nina ji's Badhai Ho was a life turning in so many
Yeah,
ways. Now I don't think so we can shoot in the streets to Nina ji the way we
yeah.
did it. And she was without makeup, her head was covered, and she was totally, and she lives in the character.
Oh
And
my God.
and people are like, वो क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे सर what क्या चल रहा है यहाँ पे मैं क्या कुछ नहीं चल रहा आप घबराओ मत हम खाना बना रहे हैं आपके शहर and that was amazing that every time we'll say that people say पर बनेगा कब खाना we see you every day on the streets because सर बनेगा पहले हम शहर की खूबसूरती दिखाएंगे and there was that scene where the Raja's wife is in the well and then
Mm-hmm.
we had to light up almost like 10,000 lamps.
Yeah, the diyas.
Very tough scene, and right before the scene there was little panga, and we had to not shoot that day.
Oh, so
Yeah,
you had
so
to leave and then keep coming back for a clear day.
no, not a clear day when we had people dressed up as cops.
Oh, so you snuck in.
We stuck in.
Yeah,
We, and that's the real deal that so you stuck
yeah,
in a lot of things, and the gorilla shoot is the gold.
yeah,
I'm not against rules and regulations, but sometimes doing guerrilla shoot has its own fun because you get the character of the people on the streets, were walking, they're not bothered about this, and the characters are walking with them. It
yeah.
gives you a feeling of day-to-day life, and I feel a movie like Last Color. Every frame is like a painting to me. Every frame looks like it has to
Yeah.
look aesthetically very pleasing.
No,
And
it was gorgeous. Just like the pink, your choices of just design, like it's beautiful. I think there might be some translation from your aesthetics on a plate that came to a frame, because the way I saw that pink throughout the film, there wasn't like five different colors of red, blue, green happening, and pink became like almost a symbol of revolution. Like you almost, it was a character in the film. I saw it every time. Pink, whether it was the nail paint, whether it was, she puts it in her pocket, whether it's the dress that she makes for me, I was trying to find something that shade to wear. I didn't have it because I felt so touched by that little nuance that you have gone into, and it became so powerful. How? Wow. How?
so we used to have an aunt next door. Her name was Bhabiji. Her favorite color was pink. And she once I asked her that why you wear always white? That's a question in the movie too. Why do you always wear white? Like, why not colorful? And she was fair from Peshawar and beautiful. And she's saying क्योंकि हमारे देश में एक परंपरा है कि औरतें बेरंगी रहे. That was like struck me. I was 10 years old. And she had this big tree of gardenia flowers in her garden, and even the flowers were white. And it was like, so I'll pluck the flower and put it in that time we used to have thumbs up. I'll have a thumbs up bottle and I'll put it in her room every time there'll be flower. And she'll always say, मेरे घर में खुशबू सिर्फ तू ही लाता है. And मैं क्या खुशबू सिर्फ नहीं रंग भी. So on the day of Holi, I'll always put pink color on her palm, Kulal. I never forgot. And she would close her palm like this all day, said nobody should see the color all day. And that was something. Imagine every time she's looking at the color and she's like, there's so much more to that color. It's not just the little powder color. But
Yeah.
we have to go for that specific. And when Nina ji says, and it was her, कि वो जो तीज में पहनती है ना राजस्थान की रानी है वो वाला गुलाल
Oh, wala.
really specified.
Yeah.
And you saw the way Nina ji said it also,
Yeah.
because a single continuous shot they're moving, which is very wrong shot,
Right.
Great. And Anurag Kashyap says, it's fantastic you're not trained. You do all the wrong things. In art, there's nothing is wrong. It's your vision, it's your perception. At least one thing is for sure that I can be so proud of, that it's not a copy-paste movie.
Yeah.
Not even a dot of it has been copied. I've been inspired by Deepa Mehta, and I will be honest. And I've been obsessed with that culture of movies from Masan. And it's so I've been very clear what, and I've been obsessed with people find it very funny because I've watched Shivana ji's movies on loop, and these are all the movies which are guerrilla shooting. Shivana, they are walking on the street, nange pair chal rahi hai, and everything, which is amazing for film cameras to people for believing it.
Yeah.
Entire movies make believe.
Yeah.
Nina was like, and she had a big contribution in the movie too, in terms of direction, because I wanted to keep her dialogue. She's almost like 26 dialogues in the movie. I want so quiet, who's given up on life. There's no hope, just waiting for a day to come when she'll pass away, unnoticed. And here, a silent woman gives a power to a young girl who gets empowered to the point, touch the point where nobody can touch you.
Yeah.
And I took all the connotations which I felt that.
Yeah. I just had a question asking, what is your favorite scene from the film?
The movie is very unconventional. It is people just don't notice it also many times. I had to introduce the word death in the movie. A little bit in advance. So you can see that, when this guy, which is actually a true event, which I saw, a truck driver spitting on a child who was asking for money on a red light. Like, there was a traffic stop and this guy just spat on the child and they laughed. It just broke my heart. And this child, this little girl, she just brushed that whole thing away.
She wasn't bothered.
She was not bothered. I like, how much can you undignify someone, disrespect someone, and it just like, and I get affected by this kind of energies, and it just crushed, and that's why the scene is in the movie. And after Nina ji cleans her hair, so they sit outside temple, and she says कि वो देखिए वो जो गुड्डी है, काइट है, पतंग कितना ऊपर जा रही है. तो नीना जी कहते हैं इसी तरह, इस पतंग की तरह मैं भी एक दिन बस कहीं दूर चले जाऊंगी. एंड शी सेज समथिंग व्हिच आई यूज्ड टू टेल माय ग्रैंडमॉम, हम आपको जाने देंगे तब ना. Just like, it's a stupid dialogue in many ways. बाकी जाए तो जाए, मतलब let others die, but आप थोड़ी जा सकते हैं हमको छोड़ के. हम आपको
मिशन में
I'm not going to let you go. And she did that. She never let her go. And you're gone when you're forgotten.
Yeah.
Gone when you're forgotten. That is when you're dead. When you're forgotten, nobody's talking about you. You're alive. My grandmom is every single day, she is alive with me. My dad is alive because I don't let them pass away every single day. वो भी ऊपर कहते हैं भैया जाने दे हमको.
No way.
It's necessary. The forgotten are the one which are dead. Then you die.
Yeah.
And you can actually die when you're alive and you're forgotten.
Yeah.
So I just feel that I use that. कि हम आपको जाने देंगे तब, and that is why I said that time when I was writing the dialogue, I said she has to continue her name with her name now.
Yeah.
Very few people notice that her name is Noor, and never let her go. So she's never going to die. It's like that. I wanted to express.
It's almost like she's within her, right? She's like an embodiment of her, and there couldn't be a bigger sort of respect you pay to someone to say that I'm never gonna, because you'll go when I go, and till then you're always there as long as I live, because I'm here because of you on some level.
This Nomad Land also, the latest movie.
Yeah.
Francis, she says that the forgotten are the dead. You
Oh
don't,
yeah.
when
I
you're
have. I've still not seen it. I have to see it. I'm getting to my
checking all
thing.
this year. It's
Yeah. Everything, is it? It's
every
already won the Globes
day.
or something. Acha, tell me about Aksa. Who is this girl? And how and where did you find her? And how did you get her to be Choti?
You also gave me a few numbers of people who do the agents. I think so.
Yeah.
But
Casting.
I was casting agent and I was totally unsuccessful because they'll keep bringing children to me who are watching MasterChef too much, or they are already enamored by Bollywood. So when they'll come, I was missing that innocence, and that because they were totally all dressed up in nail polishes, so much of makeup to kids, and they were all like, and it was like I'm like I'm looking for a girl who lives on the ghat and she sells flowers and diyas, and every single day is a challenge for her. You can't be, she can't look like you. It'll be not believable.
Yeah.
Girl was inspired by a rope walker which had met between Varanasi and Allahabad during Kumbh Mela. She was on the rope walking, and I tried to search for her. I said, we can train her to act. But we had to get this girl who could act, who could remember dialogues, because they were long scenes.
Yeah.
And it means she has to be good in attention. And third, she has to learn how to walk on the rope.
She actually did? That's her walking on the rope?
It
Come on.
yeah. It was a tough scene. We had people from Hyderabad and everywhere who were technically managing it, but she walked on the last scene could have never been so dramatic, the way I was elevating that whole thing, that what she would risk for a promise to a friend.
Yeah.
And if I still cry every time I watch that.
Yeah.
And it had to be planned when Nina ji was going and she had to do that. And I had to get a child with whom we don't have to struggle so much, at the same time has a vulnerability. We don't have to struggle so much because the character was very difficult.
Yeah.
And the difficult scene for her was not the rope walking, not the dialogues, nothing. Coming out of the water. She was scared of water.
Oh. And she goes in and then comes out. That one.
So that this is reincarnation. Swaha to the past. I
Wow.
was so poetically, because that transition was important when we go back to Princey, who was playing
Yeah.
Moon. And that coming out of the water was so difficult that I have so much struggled with that, because we shot that scene few times. We tried in the Ganges, and it just didn't work. She was so scared. So I took permission to shoot in a 5-star hotel, that scene, and I covered the entire pool with black cloth and brown cloth. I wanted to create, you can't show that she's coming out of pool, and we
Blue
had
lighting on the
light,
pool.
all reflections gone, everything gone, and her mom is buying big thawns from Varanasi from somewhere, and she's getting all those. So we shot this in a hotel, and we can't name. And then we took over the pool, and we added so many flowers and diyas and everything to it, and she was she's so short, and she has to come from down.
Yeah.
So goes underwater, and we kept benches for her, so she has to go underwater. She comes up and there is just no emotion on the face.
Yeah.
That is my favorite scene when she came out,
Wow.
and everybody said it took us 1 day for that shoot. And Chin, who's the cinematographer of the movie, said, "Chef, hats off. We could have never gotten her coming out, and that look, that, oh, what have you
It
done
was
to
perfect.
that?
It
That
was
was,
perfect.
we did single shot.
Yeah. It brings you to that culmination moment after everything, and you still don't give up. It's the Vikas look, basically, She's like, all right, bring it on.
She's
Next.
from this school called Zinat Mahal in Shadra.
Mm-hmm. In
And
Delhi, Shadra.
Delhi Shadra. And we go, because our casting agents couldn't do that work. I'm telling people who are deciding to make a movie, please do not be scared to getting people who have not been trained for cinema. They will do miracles for you, because talent means nothing without dedication.
Yeah.
Get somebody who has that stroke of dedication. And her audition was horrible when she did the audition.
Oh, is it?
She thought MasterChef is coming, so she's getting some food to eat. And she was like, "Oh, chef is coming, and everybody's talking about Master Chef is here. We've seen you so many times now. Where's the food?" And she's complaining to a friend in front of me. I'm like, wow, that's the character. I can't create that.
That's what you need, that energy.
Acting. I can teach you acting.
Yeah.
Her workshops were almost a month just for acting, day and night, and she was so bright. Her biggest workshop was that she has to sell diyas because I wanted to form a way that she was totally believable. कि diya
Yeah.
बेच, and we kept it in the back. I didn't want to make it so much on your face, her smartness. So when उसको दिए तो मैंने कहा बेच क्या? So we had all the people with the cell phone cameras everywhere, and we put a mic on her, and she's gone there and she's effortlessly selling all the diyas like in few minutes. मैं क्या कैसे बेचे? कहती मैंने उनको कहा कि मेरे दिए बड़े लकी हैं. आप जो भी जिसको लेता है उसके घर में बेटा पैदा होता है.
Shanapan, this is what you need.
She
Comes
understood.
to minute.
Young couples will go to बेटा
Wow.
हमारे घर जो भी लेता है मैं दिए आप देखना इससे क्या क्या होता है. आप वापस आओगे मेरे पास लेने के लिए. And she was like, and I'm hearing her with the headphones. I'm like, who taught her all this? And Varnika was with me, and she's like, she's helping me with the movie. She's like, I don't know, this girl is so smart. She goes and figures the whole equation out.
Nice. Since you brought up food, I have had this burning question because being on sets myself, one of my biggest pet peeves is food because I want to feed my team healthy but yummy. But like, it must be the hardest thing for you to be on set. Who does your food? How do they?
Most amazing food. Navneet Rastogi is the guy. He was a MasterChef contestant. He was a finalist for season 5, and he did the entire food for us. And Navneet's favorite on the show also because I saw something with him which was very similar to me. And Navneet is the one who has helped me with Reiki and the scooter 24 hours, because I had covered myself totally while we were doing Reikis and everything, so that nobody should have a little idea something is happening here. But Navneet was the one. His mother is one of the greatest cooks India has given birth to. I swear. And we had the most amazing food. And even at the hotel where we were staying, I used to live in the same hotel for 3 years. The recce went on for almost 3 years. I would go back. Every time I'm flying back to US via Varanasi. So this hotel had the chefs and they knew it that, because I eat very different kind of food than actually, I'm not saying what I cook I don't eat, but I eat very different. I eat extremely healthy cooking. And I don't, but these guys were, Ninaji was like every day, how did you find this food? I said, Ninaji, these are all the people which are connected to us, but it was amazing. But in Varanasi, the food itself is so amazing.
Yeah. I mean, even that khichdi, which was in the shot, it's the most blandest thing. You're supposed to not even get excited about that. But there was an emotion to that khichdi the way you shot it. It's put there, they're eating together in that one plate. It was gorgeous.
Annapurna Mandir, which is Ma Annapurna's temple, and they serve khichdi all the time. And there's even a small place where they serve idlis also. But that khichdi has something else. I don't remember being so moved by food. In Surat, yes. In Surat, one time I felt that when I was eating, I started crying. But that khichdi makes me, it just breaks my heart. It crushes me because there's something so sacred about that continuity that, this is a gift from our ancestors and building that legacy to take it forward.
Yeah.
And that is a big pressure at the same time, when you realize that these are gifts from your ancestors which you're taking forward. That's amazing, and
yeah.
I was also lucky, Pooja, that I was raised by a woman, and that really helped me for my moral compasses sometimes. And I would see things differently, not just from the profit point of view. So I thought it was their blessings that I could complete such a big project, which would take, it in your world, it takes a huge production houses, huge everything.
Yeah.
One man is obsessed with.
Nothing comes before passion, Vikas. That, that, right? I mean, nothing. If you don't have passion, then might as well don't.
It's like a standard project. But even what you guys did with Delhi Crime and Mr. Richie is like, and everyone. I think the day it came to Netflix in US and you had so many friends messaging you, who did this? I said, I know some crazy people. I know. if they're putting their mind into it, they're doing it. It's
I know.
happening.
Going all the way. That is the only way we know when once you're in it, then there's no turning back.
When you were shooting that in Delhi,
Sorry?
I used to speak to you when you were shooting
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I remember. We were
Time,
on,
all night is happening. The
yeah,
shooting.
yeah, yeah. And we were on either side. You would be crossing over, you'd be going in and out, Varanasi shoot. Like we were at the same time going down that journey of creating something magical. And both of us had Neeraj Gewan to thank for a little bit of inspiration that we had been at Cannes together watching.
But you also know that Neeraj was one of the first people who saw the unedited version of the movie, and his input for the movie was amazing.
Nice.
He is a different breed.
Oh,
Even
yeah.
and these guys came for the first rough cut. They spent so much time with me because they knew it that I'm going to finish the project. Neeraj said one thing I'm sure about: you're going to finish the project. And when I got through Palm Springs International Film Festival, it was a big deal
Yeah.
for filmmakers. And love, wow, this is great. This is started.
Yeah.
And I did 50 film festivals. I attended almost half of them. I used to fly in and out and in and out. I was flying. It was amazing, to be
Yeah.
able to see the movie on buses and billboards and Times Square and everything. And people said, this is insane. I said, this woman is standing behind me. Her team is not giving up on this.
No, we just had to. We're part of your. I'm the appendage to your little thing from Cannes. Like I feel like it's my film. I belong here. This is, it needs to be seen. That's what you made. Because I'll be honest, I would have told you equally, like, Vikas, great job, but let's look at what you do next. But once I saw this, I was like, this, what, how? You surprised me on so many levels, not because I ever judged this will get made or not, unlike Neeraj. I knew you will make the film once you put your mind to it. I mean, what you ended up doing in the pandemic, sitting thousands of miles away for the people in India with the entire ration delivery, like, I want to know for 2 minutes, and I know you've received awards for it, not that you did it for that, but like, where do you find that grit and energy, man, to
Mom,
give back?
mom, mom.
No. I have to meet her. I have still not met her. I'm
I
coming.
know I think she's watching it too. But she knows that she is my, and that is somebody picked. She was not well, so I was down myself because I'm still in the stomach. I still feel. She also says, umbilical cord has not been cut right.
Not cut.
We sense each other's way too much stronger, which is unbelievable. And it's just for her. I just do this. I don't know if I'll have motivation ever after her, but I hope never. But I hope she's. And that's the gift you want to ask God for. Mom, please don't get old. Mom, please don't.
Yeah, I know.
Never see a new wrinkle. No, no,
Gosh.
old. This is
No.
75 and she's beautiful and she's just got vaccinated. So proud. And I told her she's soon coming. And this is the first time, Pooja, in my entire life that I haven't seen her for more than 1 year. I left India on March 15th last year after the MasterChef. And then I
Yeah.
was in sometime and I had a new restaurant in Singapore, which we were like postponing. We had Beijing trip because we weren't sure what's happening.
Yeah.
And then this happened and the pandemic, and to be in a position, such a position where you have the influence and the contacts. And if I'd not been India, that I would have been ashamed of myself and my position in front of my mom. I don't, it was just that she said that, I've given birth to a warrior. He has to stand in the middle of the battlefield right now. And whatever you've earned, it's a sum total of people's contribution to you.
Yeah. Well, this is.
Breaks my heart every time I say that you never think like that because you are sometimes, I wouldn't say enamored by, you're so much into this world which is so many people telling you, oh my God, everywhere you go around the world they're like, oh, this is miracle. But inside you feel I was broken. I was totally broken with that whole thing with the pandemic. I'm like, I have to give her an answer. So when I'm seeing her, and every time she'll see a news which was bad, and she talked about people dying of food and everything, she's saying, you could have saved them, your own people. And
Wow.
that really pushed me. And I kept moving on and on and on. 16 million meals we've crossed, I think. In some parts, we are still delivering, but not like what we were doing before.
Right.
But, you know, I was connecting you on this all the time, and you were like, मेरा अनार निकला है बाग में, wishing you all the best for Feed
I
India.
know. I can't see an Anar without thinking of you. I can't go through Holi without thinking of you. And that's why I'm so happy that, we're talking today on Holi. And I want to wish everybody, so many people are wishing you a happy Holi. And I want you to talk to them about Holi and what this means to you.
This means a change.
Yeah.
Sometimes the younger generation has to come up with it and step forward and talk about change. Because when things are happening in loop, many times that some people are getting suppressed with that.
Mm.
Some traditions have this effect on some people. It's made to privilege some people, and it's a disadvantage for many others.
Mm.
And I was confident that I'm going to be speaking in English for this movie because I want the word to go out. And you have no idea, Pooja, how much I trained. My teacher, I have an English teacher, and she's like, I have so many students, but nobody's as dedicated. You can memorize an entire book. It's like
Wow.
but I have decided one thing cautiously, that I do not want to put on a fake American accent, which I have.
Of course, we all can, right? Right from the valley to New York.
Yeah, we
Let's
can do
hear
that.
it.
LA. And I was feeling that no, we come from this kind of an
Yeah.
accent is Indian and British.
Yes.
And suddenly to discontinue that and alienate yourself from so many people. And Americans understand that why are you patronizing us, that you change your tongue twist, and we understand you guys. We're like,
Yeah.
why are you so obsessed that you have to copy me? I'm like, listen, I've patronized only a mom, the rest, these
Yeah.
accents. But I figured out that, when after our meeting, there was a big revolution in my mind, I must tell you that, which I felt that it's going to be a war,
Mm.
stand in those circles, and to be subjected to a lot of criticism, and I shouldn't be accepting discounts that, look at my career for 30 plus years. I shouldn't be looking for discounts. I should be looking for honest judgment of the movie.
Yeah.
And
That is welcome.
your word mattered to me. So thank you.
Oh. I can't wait to see you make so much magic in this world, whether it is in any area.
The few people who watched the glimpse of the next one was
No, I'm not supposed to talk about it. That's us. But I feel so honored because I'm so excited with everything that is yet to come. And I wish you a lot of luck every minute. And I'm always there for anything. And I know you are too. And I just hope that you keep inspiring everyone around you with everything that you put your heart on, because it's bloody inspiring. You should know that. You don't have to be a guru, and you don't have to be a person who has that as their thing. Some people just with their energy change the paths of anyone who comes in their force. And this film does that. And I wish that more and more people can see it. I think for 2 days it's live on the YouTube Bandra Film Festival channel, and then it's live on the Amazon Prime for a long
absolutely.
time for everyone to see. And I just hope that if there could be more Vikases in the world, this would be a better place. So thank you so much for that.
So much. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, Vikas.